Well, either you're closing your eyes to a situation you do not wish to acknowledge, or you are not aware of the caliber of disaster.
Hello.
The Emperor has been expecting you.
You're gonna get your mind right.
Warning. Common sense incoming.
Alive. It's alive!
Warning, this contains explicit material suitable for children.
Great heavens! What kind of radio show is this?
This is the Blab.
Here we come, walking down the street. We get the funniest looks from everyone we meet.
Hey, the Blab.
Yes, we are. Custom made, custom designed, and boy, oh boy, have we got monkeys to talk about. Monkeys in places most people ain't even got places. I'm Scott Edward Phelps. Dave Simmons is here.
Hey-o.
Back from, and we're going to get to that very shortly. But that was the teaser. And I paid about $6 from WeMakeMonkeysSweepers.com to get that put up at the last minute. So in tribute to Dave's journey, that's going to be a lot of fun. So hang around for just a few minutes. But first of all, this week, look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a sexual preference reassignment. What the fuck? You're going to hear that a lot this time around.
What the fuck?
Brown sugar may taste so good, but after 50 years, it's now officially in bad taste. We'll tell you why. GOP, yeah, about the same, spelled POS. Courtney will not only be wearing white, she's marrying it too. Stick around. And this week's hip and happening saga, Dave ain't the only one who gets the funniest looks from everyone he meets. All of that shortly, but first up, latest news, fresh poop, up to the second shit. It's what you need to know.
What you need to know.
NCIS fans are in an uproar as FBI Special Agent Parker was offered the job of replacing the retiring Leroy Jethro Gibbs instead of it being offered to Special Agent Tim McGee. Now, our Blab investigative team has looked into it, and here's what you need to know. It's a fucking TV show, people. Yeah. The House Select Committee investigating the January 5th insurrection attack on the Capitol have voted to refer Trump henchman Steve Bannon to the DOJ for criminal contempt charges for refusing to comply with the subpoena. 10% of those polled predict swift justice. 90% of those polled responded. Gas prices are up to an average of $3.34 a gallon. Retail experts predict the surge will, quote, curtail consumer spending in the upcoming holiday season, unquote. Our own Blab experts have weighed in. Americans not going where they want, when they want, no matter how much it costs or affects anyone but themselves. And a Pennsylvania man is charged with raping a woman on a train outside of Philly while fellow passengers watched, held up phones, and did nothing to intervene. The 35-year-old rapist has been charged with aggravated assault, sexual assault, and rape. Additionally, he has been offered his own weekly Fox News show. Yay. And now you know what you need to know.
The Blab with Dave Simmons and Scott Edward Phelps.
Very fine people.
Yes, we are. Just ask anybody who knows us well. And gosh darn it, can't wait to get going. We're only 3.5 minutes into this thing. And it's a very special segment episode of the Dave Beat. I don't mind telling you, I dropped a bundle on all these fucking monkeys.
I think we've just been muted 3 times.
Have you noticed we didn't get muted at all last week? And I started sneaking them in. I think people are not paying attention anymore.
Probably
the algorithm is probably Zuckerberg's busy changing the name of the company. We'll be back to that shortly. Dave took a trip. You name dropping.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
I did.
Well, tell us all about it.
Went and saw my good buddies, the Monkees. The two that are left.
What's left
yeah,
of them?
Mike and Micky.
2/4 of the Fab Four.
Oh, I tell you, Scott, the band was tight. Very, very. As a musician, you would have loved the band. They were tight.
Well, you got to imagine guys who've been doing this for 50 plus years are going to bring 5-star musicians along. They're not going to. It's not going to be like.
Well, Micky had Wayne Avers as his band director, so he had his normal band director, but he's got a lot of new faces in the band. Rich Dart, his drummer's been there forever, but Alex Jules, John Billings, those guys, a bass player and keyboard player, and they had a little Armenian guitar player that I'd never seen before because for whatever reason, Christian Nesmith left the tour 4 or 5 shows ago, and I don't.
Haven't seen him posting the last few days, but I hadn't seen anything prior. He'd been posting pretty regularly. I mean, he got a lot of stuff going on though.
Yeah, well, actually, I think they said he's doing a rendition of Hair in Los Angeles. He's the musical director on that, so maybe that's why I left. It wasn't. Haven't heard any poop about it being, anything serious.
Well, plus he's not Frank Jr.
Right.
He doesn't just show
got
up.
Talent. Yeah. Oh, he's got talent out the ass, dude.
Remind me to tell you my Frank Jr. story sometime.
but yeah, great show. Mike has lost a little bit vocally. Mike Nesmith.
Yeah.
But
he's 80. He's what? Is like 93 years old.
I think he's close. He's edging up to 80 now.
I think they all hit that 77, 78 thing going on this year.
Mickey's voice is as good as it's ever been. I mean, he's phenomenal. Yeah. He's a freak of nature. He really is.
Well, Mike had heart issues and all kinds of stuff.
He's had heart surgery. Yeah. So he's lost a lot of weight, but his wit. I mean, he was funny.
Mickey or Mike?
Mike. Well, they both are funny, but Mike is just he's very witty.
He's a dry fellow, though, isn't he? It's very dry.
Yeah, it's a dry humor. They took the thing that Julie and I could not stop laughing. They took an intermission, and Mickey,
after the first song,
no, halfway through the show, and just from doing the Neil Diamond thing, that theaters kind of make you so they can sell concessions.
Oh, so, sure, yeah. All right.
So we. Mickey comes back out and does the Porpoise song by himself with the piano with Alex Jules, and phenomenal sounding. Then he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Nesmith." Mike Nesmith comes out and Mickey goes in the back, and Nesmith's holding a piece of paper, and he walks all the way up to the mic, and he just leans in and he says, "Does anybody here drive a 1987 green Toyota Camry? Your lights are on. Please go to the box office." And then he backs away from the mic. And like the audience is like, what the fuck? And then he leans in and he goes, "I'm just kidding. That kills every night." It was so random. It was funny as hell. We could not stop laughing. But just really good. They did some obscure songs. They did a lot of Mike's songs. So I guess they wanted to close this chapter of their lives.
Well, if anybody has reached a level where they can pretty much do what they want.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're both showmen. They know that you've got to play to the crowd.
Well, they played the hits.
Sure.
Yeah, they played the hits, but they did almost every Nesmith song, and then he did different drum. Mickey did different drum because he's got that Dolan Sings Nesmith album out, and
right?
That's on there. So they did that version of different drum, and it was really good.
Wow. I never liked Mike's version of different drum.
No, it was just slow.
I don't think he paid tribute to the author, to the composer.
Yeah.
That's inside joke for all you music people that are going, I thought he wrote that song.
Well, the thing that's funny, when he was live at the Brit, he did different drum, and then at the end of different drum, he said, "With apologies to Linda," because basically it's like when Jimi Hendrix did all along the Watchtower. Sure. It became his song. Different drum became Linda Ronstadt's song.
Yeah, and I'm sure he wasn't complaining when the mail showed up with the royalty checks.
No,
because that was Linda's breakthrough hit.
They did tell a story that I had never heard, and I don't think I'd even read it anywhere. Mike presented different drum to Don Kirshner. Mm-hmm. And Don Kirshner said, "Man, that doesn't sound like a Monkees song." And Mike Nesmith told him, he said, "Wait a minute, I'm a monkey." And Don Kirshner said, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So he gives it to Linda Ronstadt. They record it. It hits the charts. Don Kirshner calls him and says, "Hey, remember that song that you sent me, that drum song, that's something about drums? We should record that." And Mike Nesmith was like, "Linda Ronstadt already did. It's at the top of the charts."
Yeah, Don Kirshner, for those who don't know, was a music mogul in the day, and he was often compared through the years to Clive Davis, and if you're inside the hipness, you know what I'm talking about. But that there couldn't have been, I had my own personal disagreements about their taste and et cetera, and my own quick version Clive Davis story was the song that I had written specifically for Whitney Houston because I had access to her via my friend Billy Strange, and we pitched the song to Clive, and I don't want to get into that whole story now. But he had game and he had chops. Don Kirshner was always kind of like the bargain basement version of that. He fancied himself a hit song picking kind of guy, but he was kind of a doorknob.
Yeah.
And it was all talk and no cattle and the whole night.
Well, the thing that was funny is as the Monkees became a functioning unit and were able to play live, he sort of lost control of them.
Yeah,
you know,
it was a very Murray Wilson quality.
Yeah, yeah, because when the Monkees were formed, they were thrown together and they didn't gel for a while.
Right.
You know, and only two of them were really musicians.
Well, they weren't hired to be a band. They were hired to be in a TV sitcom
about a band.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
And then with Bert Schneider and what was the other
guy? Bob
Rafelson, yeah. Mm-hmm. They said, why don't we take these guys on the road because their songs are going to the top of the charts.
Yeah, and the kids, you're not going to be able to hear them on stage anyway because the kids will be screaming so
That's
loud.
what they were talking about last night. They brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Nesmith said their very first concert, he had to stomp his foot to keep Micky in time because he said we couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was overall, and we went to the beautiful Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey. Just a turn of the century, amazing theater. You know, the detail, everything. So
good for you.
Just a good night. Went with my love. We had a really good time.
Good for you, and good for them too. You know, it's easy for us to say, me more than than Dave a little bit, because the Monkees were my generation's group. Dave came later because he's younger, which is okay. But I mean, we were there. 66 was the first year. I was 15. So that was I was 2.
Well,
and I think if I haven't told, but later again, it's like I don't know if I've told the story, and I won't do that now. But I'm a believer. Almost got my ass kicked when we were in a garage band, and that's in the book and blah blah. One of these days when we're doing something else, I'll tell you the story. But anyway, these guys, they've paid their dues, and it's such a joy. It's kind of like with the Stones. Say what you will, and not to be particularly snarky with our young listeners, okay? But let's see what Kanye West sounds like when he's 75 fucking years old.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's that. All right. Politics is going to be around the corner, but there's a little bone in the throat. Can you imagine? And I thought, I want to get rid of this real quick so we can go on and talk about other things. So I put together a very quick little segment that I like to lovingly call Trump Sucks, and if you support him, still you suck too.
In his official statement on the passing of General Colin Powell.
Wonderful to see Colin Powell, who made big mistakes on Iraq and famously so-called weapons of mass destruction, be treated in death so beautifully by the fake news media. Hope that happens to me someday. He was a classic rhino, if even that, always being the first to attack other Republicans. He made plenty of mistakes, but anyway, may he rest in peace.
We all hope it happens to him someday as well. As soon as humanly possible.
Scott Edward Phelps, Dave Simmons, 1.5 Men. Your call, the Blab.
All right. The waters are calm out on the boat today.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. All right, so here's a friend that we haven't visited with for a long time. By golly, it's the Big Blab story. And this week's Big Blab story is not exactly a story per se. It's a thematic. I read 2 or 3 things right after last week's show, and as soon as I did, a theme kicked into my head, and I let Dave know, hey, this is a large part of what we'll talk about on the next show, which is the show you're listening to now. And I said, let's just make it thematic in a way that everybody across the board can understand. None of that complicated stuff. So we affectionately refer to it as What the Fuck.
What the fuck?
For example, the one that caught, and we talked about this at the tail end of last week's show, Superman, Kal-El of Krypton. And we were misinformed, or we misspoke, or both last week. That had just come out, no pun intended. And then I did a little reading after the fact. It's not Superman, because it gets confusing now. You got the DC universe.
Is it Superboy?
It's the son of, it's Superman's kid by his marriage to
Lois Lane.
Yeah, either Lois Lane or Kiki D. I don't remember which. But anyway, he's bisexual.
Kids are always disappointed.
Superboy is bisexual. Now, here's something that a lot of the folks who know me personally, my friends, loved ones, acquaintances, etc., and know me, okay, and know that I don't have, I can judge people as programs can attest. I can judge people every fucking hour of every fucking day, but I am not a prejudiced man. I'm not. I don't have those genes. I don't have those wires in my body. I'm not racially prejudiced. I'm not sexually prejudiced. I just never have been.
Right.
I'm kind of John Lennon-y in that regard. Okay, live and let live. Anything that two people do with each other that's loving, what the fuck? Okay?
What the fuck?
That's what I'm saying. But I'm going to surprise you. This is one of those things that I go, what the fuck? And real quick, Dean Cain, who played Superman in one of those TV incarnations. Yeah, Superman and Lois.
Yeah, Kent and Lois or something like that. Yeah.
Who was Lois in that? Oh, that was
Terry Hatcher.
And they're real and they're spectacular.
Yes.
He said, quote, that this is just, well, he criticized the decision, and I'm quoting Dean Cain. They said it's a bold new direction, and I say they're bandwagoning. Now, he was on Fox and Friends, unfortunately, when he was talking about this, but what he said, I think, rings true, and I agree. He said Robin just came out as bi. Who's shocked about that? The new Captain America's gay. My daughter in the CW series Supergirl, where I played the father, was gay. So I don't think it's bold or brave or some crazy new direction. If they had done this 20 years ago, perhaps they could call it bold or brave. I think that's the curtain that they're clouding it in. My attitude about it is, to be honest with you, it kind of cuts back to what we talked about with the business of James Bond being a woman. Should we make James Bond a woman? No!
No.
Okay?
Hit the what the fuck.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and just to add ice to inch, this was later. Now they're going to change the slogan, the mantra, the motto, the Superman. Have you heard this?
No.
Yeah. The DC Universe guys, Jim Lee, who's the chief creative officer for DC Publishing. Truth, justice, and
bisexuality.
Yeah, but what was the original? Truth, justice, and the American way.
Yes.
No more. No. Truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Now, first of all, how lame is that? But second of all,
that's pretty lame.
But second of all, let's be honest with ourselves. You know why they're not saying the American way? Because right now, in the year 2021, the American way sucks.
Yeah.
And they don't want to lose. And this other bullshit, what was the press release? This guy, Jim Lee. Superman has long been a symbol of hope who inspires people, and it is that optimism and hope that powers him forward with this new mission statement.
Good Lord.
No.
What the fuck?
All right. Now, I got more for you.
Oh, okay.
And feel free to weigh in on any of this as we go. I don't have the details on this one because this one just, I went, okay. I didn't even have to go looking for WTF material. It found me. There is serious talk by the studio that produces the films and whatever printed material will emanate thusly at making Lord of the Rings more diverse.
Lord of the Cock Ring?
Dave's playing to his audience, but several people's hanging out at one of the shops just had a guffaw there. Yeah, maybe. And my wife, and you know my wife,
yes.
She doesn't have a prejudice bone in her body, and she's not particularly political unless she's just finally had enough. She happened to be standing in my vicinity when I read that article, and I read the headline to her, and she just looked at me and she goes, well, aren't they already like mythical creatures?
Yeah, they're not even real.
Yeah. And I said, yeah. And she goes, like hobbits or something? And I said, yeah. And she goes, what are they going to be, like Hispanic hobbits? Well, and I ran.
No, I think it'd be like the little, oh, my precious. And he's like, yo, motherfucker, give me the ring.
Well, that's one. But they didn't say specifically just black. It's going to be more diverse. Sexually, we're going to have gay. And I thought, first of all, the Hispanic hobbit cracked me up. And, of course, I ran with it. Frodo Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Once again, I say, there's so many things that need to be done and could be done, perhaps, to increase the diversity factor in our lives in this country. This is just pick and fly shit out of pepper.
Oh, yeah.
It's symbolic bullshit. And once again,
what the fuck?
It's and I because you're not this way, and you're like super liberal. You've got like the big S on your chest.
Stands for Scott.
Is that what it says for? Shit. The liberal mindset, I think their lives are not, there's nothing wrong really in their life. I mean, they're looking for shit.
Well, I think you're right on the second part. I think you're mistaken on the first part. There's plenty wrong with their lives. I've said this before. This is just another example of the psychological and cultural version of what we call busy work. When you can't fix the problems that truly need to be fixed, people go looking for things they can fix to be able to say, "Hey, look what we did." Okay, we can't stop cops from killing black people in the streets. We can't stop black people from rioting in these circumstances. We don't have a fucking clue what to do, or the balls to do it, even if we had that. But look what we did.
We got rid of police.
But look what we did. We made hobbits Hispanic, and we made Superboy gay.
Yeah,
and Robin. I didn't know Robin had gone over to.
I didn't either. I
don't want to say dark side, but
did you see the latest Clint Eastwood thing?
No.
Tell
me they're changing Clint Eastwood.
No, the cancel police are going after 91-year-old Clint Eastwood for a joke he made 48 years ago.
Yeah, see, there you go. That doesn't even.
What the fuck?
Yeah, well, here.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, that doesn't even justify conversation.
Hey, well, I'll tell you the joke because it is kind of funny. Do you remember when Marlon Brando had the Indian woman accept his
Sasheen Littlefeather?
Yes,
boy, I know some useless shit.
Well, she basically said, she's accepting this, and
real quickly for those who don't know, because this was a long time ago. Marlon Brando won the Oscar for Best Actor for his role in The Godfather. When his name was announced at the ceremony, this was like 1972 or 73. This young lady, looking very much like she just walked off the Land O'Lakes Butterbox before they took her off the Land O'Lakes Butterbox, walked down the aisle and went up on the stage, took the Oscar, and then said on behalf of Mr. Brando, and he's refusing this in the name of Native American, blah, blah, da, da.
It was something that had happened at, what was that thing? It was going on, Wounded Knee. The events at Wounded Knee.
It was a slaughter. It was a terrible thing.
So Clint Eastwood was the presenter up next.
Okay.
And basically, he said, he was presenting for Best Picture. He said, I don't know if I should present this award on behalf of all the cowboys shot in all the John Ford movies, which is a funny, clever little
He's
line,
right, yes. Of course.
And now they're going after, he doesn't even have Twitter. He doesn't give a shit.
The underlying thing under the thing with this thematic, and the reason that I wanted to have this and talk, and these are examples, and there's plenty of examples everywhere you turn these days, is the underlying stupidity that's involved here is, first of all, it's an atrocious waste of time, resources, money, energy, etc. Once again, it's taking effort and focus away from genuine problems or genuine versions of these problems that need to be dealt with. And to my way of thinking, and I'm big on this and have been for a while, it's part of what I've been bitching about for the longest time. The American, I don't want to call it the new America. That sounds like a cool thing. It's not a cool thing. America sucks. It just sucks. Right now, it sucks. It sucked for a while. It still sucks, and it's going to suck for the foreseeable future. And don't come at me with, if you love it, love it or leave it. Fuck you. America sucks. And this is one of the ways in which America sucks. It's this bullshit of attaching energy and this, well, you know what? Let me run. There was something else that I had here that was in this what the fuck category, but it was to make the point, and this makes the point perfectly. Prince William in England commented about William Shatner going into space. His comment was, and I don't have it verbatim, but his comment was, and it was in an interview that he was asked to give, and he did. And the question was, what do you think about Shatner going to space? And William's a polite kid, but he said politely what a lot of people were saying last week or whenever Shatner went. What a tremendous amount of energy, resources, and money. And wouldn't it be wonderful if it would actually spend things here on this planet getting education, housing, that stuff.
Right.
In other words, take care of this. Spend the money on this instead of doing that. It wasn't said in a mean-spirited way. He was polite about it, but he spoke his piece. Okay? Shatner heard about it, obviously, because somebody shoved it in his face, I'm sure 10 seconds after it went down. He responded in his interview. This is what he said. This was Entertainment Tonight. Shatner replied, quote, "The prince is missing the point. The point is that these are baby steps to show people that this kind of travel is very practical. You can send somebody like me up into space." And Shatner added, Prince William is a lovely Englishman. He's going to be King of England one day, unquote. Now, the reason I added that and bring it up is because what do you think the headline of the article that conveyed what the prince had to say and what Shatner had to say, which I just read to you, this is what the headline was. Shatner hits back at Prince William's criticism of space travel.
Wow.
That's American media.
Yeah.
Which is part of my categorization, which I expressed earlier. America sucks. This shit's got to stop. It's got to stop, or it's got to be stopped.
Well, the media really does need to be curtailed. Not in a 1940s, 30s, and 40s, Germany way, but
well, freedom of speech, freedom of press. What are you going to do? There's the wall. There's the hamster wheel. And by the way, let me add my asterisk comment to what I just said a minute ago. This needs to stop because I made a note for myself, and everybody said, "Well, wait a minute. He didn't go in the direction we thought." I don't want to let you people down. Here's my summation comment on this whole concept. Anybody right now, and I don't give a shit who it is, anybody who isn't doing everything they can to put out these fires of pettiness and childishness and cheap shot, overly dramatized, pitting one person against another bullshit needs to be ostracized, branded, have every door that's in front of them slammed in their fucking faces, starting with orange sacks of shit who assume that they're going to get to be president again someday. This guy is king of the mountain when it comes to this kind of behavior and this kind of attitude.
I would agree with that.
And I'll give you media every goddamn day, but this fat fuck needs to be shut the hell up.
Yep.
Thank you.
He does. He definitely
We'll be back next week. So, and I was making the joke the other day. You know why it's a wonder that there is an internet? Because it explodes about 500 times a day.
It does. It blows up. The internet blows up.
Twitter explodes. Oh my God. I wish I had, you know what? I don't have an explosion. As close as I got is this.
That's good enough. That's good enough. Yeah. I like the, have you seen the sexual lawsuit that Don Lemon was slapped with?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Good Lord.
All right. Anyway, do you have any WTF you want to belong in? Have we made the point?
I think we've made the point.
Have we hammered the point home?
We've hammered the point. Here's a what the fuck. Did you see President Joe's tweet this morning?
No, I don't.
I don't even understand it. Let me read it to you, and you tell me if you understand it.
Probably not.
Here's the deal. If you spent $3 on your coffee this morning, that's more than what 55 major corporations paid in taxes in recent years.
Okay.
It's wrong. It has to change. So
they're not paying taxes is all he's really saying.
Right, yeah, but $3. If they're paying payroll tax, they're paying more than $3.
He's trying to be clever, which is something that Joe shouldn't do.
No.
But it's interesting that you bring that up because that actually applies to what's next. Yes, indeed, in fact, and we're going to keep to it because by golly, we make promises and we never lie to anybody we haven't been married to. It's time for this week's edition of Politics in 10 minutes or less.
The country's in the very best of hands. The best of hands. The best of hands.
Now, earlier today, I had put together this thing. Chris Sill is a editor-at-large in CNN.com, and whatever, CNN, Fox News, Sunday, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday. I don't give a fuck. Doesn't matter to me. I listened to what he had to say.
They actually need to go get in the car that she was in, all the networks.
That's right. That was have you seen these advertisements online for the makeup things called boomsticks where these ladies use
No.
It's really nice. I was thinking about getting some myself. Ladies don't know what we're talking about. They're called boomsticks. I took a cheap shot at Tommy Lauren, that little twerp. I said Tommy Lauren bought some boomsticks, but unfortunately she didn't get the TNT versions. But cheap jokes. But the Chris Cillizza thing goes on, and his gist is basically this: why the Republicans are afraid of Donald Trump. In a nutshell, it's because he's a bully and they're gutless. That's where that is. But I just decided, you know what? I'm not gonna share that because that takes too long, and I've already made the point about. I've already had my hatred of Donald Day so far here as we go. But what I'm going to do in place of that, and then feel free to comment about it.
Sure.
Or not. And I'm looking it up because I want to be verbatim with it. It's because we're talking about Joe. I've made this point more than once, and you know where I stand on this and why. But I articulated it for the masses a little while ago because there was an article in the National Review, and the article is entitled "Biden in Wonderland." And basically, it's saying the same thing. It's saying that he doesn't know what he's doing, and this isn't happening, and that's the rest of that, and he's failing at this, and he's sleepy, and all those things that are criticisms, legit or otherwise, of Joe Biden. I read the article and I went, and I'm not defending Joe Biden per se when I tell you what I printed, and this will be self-explanatory because this is what I posted. I posted a link to the article, and then I added this caption. And this is me quoting me. America's average attention span manages to overlook in articles like these an inconvenient truth. Millions of us did not vote for Joe Biden because we honestly believed that he was the best choice to be president of the United States. We voted for Joe Biden because we genuinely believed one more minute, let alone 4 more years of the orange idiot, would bring about the end of the republic. Which, by the way, is a belief that is simply more validated with each passing day and each opening of the orange idiot's mouth. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Biden is methadone. Trump is heroin. Those who had a hand in injecting the nation with heroin left us no choice, absolutely no choice, but to stopgap a permanent heroin withdrawal with methadone. And just so those who still consider themselves reasonable conservatives in this country understand what I'm talking about here, millions of us who opted for methadone would be delighted to come across a passionate, productive, intelligent, genuinely stable, conservative voice. But nothing, absolutely nothing, will change our minds about this. Whatever the problem, whatever, the orange idiot is not the answer. Not then, not now, not ever. Ever. Ever.
The C's are getting choppy.
Ever. Or as Bart Simpson said in one of his totally unrelated moments, what else you got? I've said it. We talk about this already. And the longer he stays surfaced and the longer he stays part of this, the more often that I will repeat it at least once each show. Come on. For God's sake.
I say this with all honesty, Scott. The Republican Party right now is a flaming sack of shit.
Didn't they open for the Monkees last
night?
No.
The Democratic Party is
looking good by comparison, and that's how bad it is.
No, is a mutually flaming sack of shit.
I stand by what I said. They're looking good, and what a testament that is to how bad the Republicans looking when
they're not looking good, Scott. You've got on some fucked up glasses.
No, dude,
think they're looking good.
You're missing my point. By comparison, a 40-pound turd is practically a rose garden compared to a 3,000-pound turd. That's the point I'm making.
So the problem is, instead of, and this started, with when Obama went out, Trump came in, he reversed anything Obama did, good or bad.
Yeah.
Joe came in, reversed anything good or bad Trump did. Instead of saying, you know what, that border policy Trump had wasn't a bad thing. He overturned everything just for spite. We have to vote all of these motherfuckers out. All of them.
Not going to happen.
But they need to go.
You don't get any argument from me.
Because this is going to be, it's like ping pong. 2022, the House is going to flip. You already know that. The Senate probably will flip too.
Well, you know what? I'm not disputing that. But parenthetically on that issue, and this is something that neophytes, I know it's a big word, look it up, magas, that don't understand the political process need to understand about something. It's very unusual in the what they call midterm elections, meaning between presidential terms. It's very unusual for the House and or Senate not to flip.
Right.
And it has almost nothing to do with politics and little or nothing to do with the character, personality, accomplishments, etc. of the person who's in the White House and what party they belong to. In my humble the years that I've lived, and I've kind of kept my eye on this, here's what it comes back to. This attaches to my wailing indictment of America. It's lazy, it's spoiled, and it's been 2 years. He ain't done everything. Let's give the other guys in. And it doesn't matter who the other guy is. If the Democrats are in, the other guys are the Republicans. If the Republicans are in, it's like we're going to change the laundry every 2 years, no matter what it is. Flip and flop. And it's very unusual. Right. And when you run across a situation where that doesn't happen, then you've got yourself somebody who's really making an impression of a positive way in the White House. Because you can't get rid of the president except via impeachment, except for every 4 years. The best crack they've got at it is every 2 years. And since you can't go after the president, well, then dump his party out so that it neuters the whole thing. But it's all part of the wondrous, amazing thing the founding fathers put together. And I would just love the possibility of a time travel thing. And I wouldn't go there. I would bring the founding fathers up here. And I'd love to hang out with them for a month, let them see what's going on and see what they'd wrought. First of all, the suicide rate amongst them would probably be incredible. All right. The system is just fucked up. And insidiously, there's another big word, Magas, look it up. What it is any effort to fix that, because it doesn't meet the need on their end, and then whoever they are. And the need is more money, more power, more. Did I mention?
America sucks.
Yeah,
and that's why.
It's more, yeah.
And that's why.
You're right about that.
Okay. Everybody feel better now? Good. Got a surprise for you. Got rid of quick hits. And not because they weren't hilarious, but because the whip crack thing, you know what? I don't know about you, but I just missed the rim shots. So rim shots are back, baby. Kourtney Kardashian is engaged to the drummer for Blink 182, Travis Barker.
Yep.
That's right. Fans are thrilled. The family's excited, but the family's a little apprehensive because I understand they've had to choose to draw straws to decide who's going to break it to Kourtney that Travis Barker is a white guy.
Well, in actuality, Scott, she's always dated white guys. You know that, right?
She's the family freak. Yeah, I know. That's what
Scott Disick was.
Yes. Yeah, I understand.
Did you hear her comment? And I thought this was hysterical.
Kourtney?
Kourtney.
I don't pay attention to those idiots.
She said Travis has managed to do in 10 months what Scott couldn't do in 10 years. Now, I don't know if that's make her come or make her happy. She didn't elaborate.
I would be delighted to find somebody who could just make her go away. What is it Kourtney or Chloe that's doing the commercial where she's eating the popcorn on the sofa and her beautiful little half black, half white baby comes in?
I think that's Chloe.
And she's talking about migraine headaches, and she's eating her popcorn in her designer Angora sweater with her fingernails that are like 40. Mm-hmm. And yes, I know they give to charity, but you know what? They are really, honest to God, symbolic of what's gone wrong in the whole value system over the last few years. But anyway, they don't marry white guys. They don't even date white guys, except for Kourtney, who's out there being a maverick. U.S. Postal, FedEx, and UPS have released the final dates that you should ship Christmas gifts. That would be December 15th. Oh, wait a minute. What? Oh, this Christmas. Yeah, forget that. It's already too late.
Never mind.
Travis Tritt has canceled, speaking of COVID cards, has canceled all his shows.
He said tit.
In Tritt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Travis Tritt.
He said pussy.
No, he said Tritt. Travis Tritt has canceled all his shows in venues requiring COVID vaccinations, COVID tests, or masks. 24% of people polled support his decision passionately. 86% of people polled say, who the fuck is Travis Tritt? And by the way, yes, I know that 86 and 24 don't add up to 100, but hey, it's country music, you know? Nutritionists, this is good for Dave because he likes the sweets. Nutritionists say you should not hand out healthy Halloween candy like sugar-free, keto,
fuck that,
low carb. Well, because apparently for the amount that's ingested over that period of time, there's no real advantage over regular candy. Now, Dave and I are not nutritionists, but we're pretty sure the main reason to avoid giving out that shit is to avoid having your house TP'd from here until Valentine's Day.
There you go. There you go.
The fuck is this? Sugar-free.
I would smack a bitch if they gave me some sugar-free candy. When I was 10, oh, no, that wasn't happening.
Yeah. And just so it's real clear, Dave is using a euphemism when he expresses the term smack a bitch. See, that's a slang term. It means say something haughtily unhappy to someone, deriding their choice and selection. Snap out of it. And this one's for Dave, because these things just come my way when I'm compiling them. A woman was arrested in Denver for walking around the airport naked, asking people, how you doing? Where are you from?
Awesome.
Local authorities have no explanation for her behavior, and the Kardashian-Jenner family is stunned because they had no idea that Kylie was in Denver. That's really all they know how to do, is just get naked. And yeah, okay, but come on.
There's an art form to that. Come on.
I feel like dribbling. And that's dribbling, not dripping.
You should take something for that.
I'm
in a weird mood tonight.
That's okay. Well, you've been on the road. You know, you've clearly got some kind of.
I'm delirious.
You've clearly got some kind of throat cancer, which we hope will kill you. I'm still sitting here, you know, kind of alternately feeling impish and totally outraged at how much America sucks, with my knees still the size of fucking Rhode Island. Thank you very much. Here's the short burst lib dribble for this week. A friend of mine posted a meme, and she's kind of political, but she's kind of cute because, and I don't mean that condescendingly, although it sounds that way. She's not very political, and my opinion is, if we got into the debate, she's not real gifted with it, but she likes to express her opinion, and I admire that. I respect that. But she posted this meme and on the Facebook, and this is what it says, quote, when a commentator asks a MAGA supporter. Now, as soon as I read that, I realized she must have been watching the Sunday morning news shows, and I'm guessing Fox from the content for the rest of the meme. When a commentator asks a MAGA supporter where he wants this to go next, by this I assume he means the situation, what's going on, he says, I hope war, unquote. She says, war? Then move to the Middle East. We want critical thinking, peaceful protests, and a vision for the future that includes everyone. And that's her stating her opinion. And it's a lovely thought. And how stupid is it? How moronic is it? Where do you want this to go? I hope war. Well, let me tie this in real quick. You may have seen this because it's floated around online. It's pretty cool. In Denmark, there are libraries. There, you borrow people instead of books. And by that, you're sitting in a large reading room type area, and you sit opposite the person for 30 minutes. It's kind of like speed dating for intellectuals. And you listen to their life story. Now, the goal is to fight prejudice. Each person has a title, unemployed, refugee, bipolar, etc. But listening to their story...
Gay Superman.
Yeah. Well, sure, in terms of the inclusive, and if that's where it wants to go. Just listening to the story, you realize how much you should not judge a book by its cover. The innovative project is actually active in 85 countries. It's called the Human Library. Now, please correct me if you're listening or watching. I don't think America is one of those 85 countries. Imagine my shock. America, memory serves, at one time, long time ago, in a demagogue-free galaxy far, far away, used to be known for innovation, both structural innovation, building the newest and the best, and concepts like the Human Library. Saw something not too long ago, and this is just a silly, simple thing, but it amplifies the point. It was some beach in Europe, and they had built a metal ramp with tall side railings that went, and it was in the shallow part of the beach area naturally, went down into the water so that, well, what it was for handicapped people. You could get in your wheelchair with your bathing suit. You could get on the ramp. You could ramp down to the end of the ramp, and when you got down there, if you were sitting in a wheelchair, the water was about chest high.
Chest high, right.
You could get in the fucking ocean.
Mm-hmm.
How much effort and money did that take? Not much. All it took was a good idea and people willing to do a good thing and not be so fucking self-centered. Those kinds of innovations. And then this Human Library thing. And yeah, okay, to the tough guys and the tough gals, it sounds a little kumbaya, and maybe it is, but what's wrong with that, okay? But I'm hearing about these innovations, and I'm thinking to myself, when you hear and you read insightful comments like this MAGA moron who thinks that calling himself a patriot by going to war over this bullshit of an election that was stolen, and we all know that's bullshit, it reminds me of shows that I did on terrestrial radio, talk radio, a few years ago. And one in particular, there was a Sunday night show I used to do. And I did 2 entire shows, and the shows were 3 hours long. And I entitled the show America's Newest Deadly Sin. And what sin is that? Well, I've alluded to it already on the show here today. It reminded me of a few moments from a very American creation. And it was, when I remembered it and I tracked it down, because I'll share it with you, the perfect expression of how we must be perceived now. Talking about America. How we must be perceived, rightfully so, to the rest of the world. I want to go to war.
You can't mean you don't want war.
Most of the miseries of the world were caused by wars, and when the wars were over, no one ever knew what they were about.
Gentlemen, Mr. Butler's been up north, I hear. Don't you agree with this, Mr. Butler?
I think it's hard winning a war with words, gentlemen. All we've got is cotton and slaves and arrogance.
There it is. It's arrogant. Not being willing or able to sit down and work on this stuff, allowing the kind of ramshot running all over us that's going on in Washington by anybody and everybody.
Right.
Actually believing that an orange sack of shit like that is qualified, let alone to be president in the first place, let alone again. That's just arrogance. And arrogance is almost always stupid because it usually comes out of somebody that really doesn't have a fucking brain in their head.
Well, it's a defense mechanism.
Well, sure it is. And that would be okay, but not, except you don't put him in charge.
Right. Yeah, well, that's true.
The guy who knows everything there is to know about flying, you know, a 747, but doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Well, it's funny. Right up to the moment that you give him the seat behind the steering column of the 747.
Right, right.
Point made. Let's talk blandumly. Or maybe this won't work. Okay, well, when are we going to fix that? All right, it's randomly. What else you got? I got Mick Jagger dissing on Paul McCartney, but we can do that in a minute. What do you got?
I
know you were busy and out of town, so I don't want to.
Well, you know, we've talked about.
There it is.
It's that fine Blab production staff. Hey, this happened over in the UK in Windsor. A man was in his garden, you know, gardening. That's what you do in a garden.
What a stupid place.
You know, it's, you garden a little bit. You garden here, garden there.
Garden everywhere.
And he was splattered in a very unpleasant way with human waste that was dropped from an airplane.
Ah, the old feces drop.
Yeah. So they said it was 1 in a million type thing because usually they will drop that and they call it blue ice.
Right.
And it's frozen. But for whatever reason, this airplane wasn't at the altitude to freeze the feces in the waste. So this poor bastard.
Say that 3 times.
The feces in the waste.
No, frozen feces.
The man's entire garden, his garden umbrellas, and himself were completely covered in traveler's shit.
Well, you know, now see, and this is a perfect example. Where did this take place?
Windsor,
okay. UK. Okay, that's too bad. Because if it had happened here, you know what would happen.
It was a parody.
Fox would blame the Democrats, and CNN would be talking about what a wonderful opportunity it is. Like the airlines are offering free fertilizer for the gardens.
Oh, Lord. Yes.
And Tucker would be on every night talking about how Joe Biden was somehow responsible for the blue shit hitting the ground.
I don't think Joe's shit hits the ground. It probably hits his depends. You're not going to give me a puff thing?
I wouldn't. No. Freshen up the material. Bring me something else besides Joe's doddering. I already gave you Joe's doddering. And I explained to you why Joe dodders and why it doesn't fucking matter. It goes back not only what I said a minute ago, but what we talked about last week when Bill Maher said, you know, By the way, speaking of that, I wanted to, before I forget to mention it, and I mentioned my wife because she's not a political person. And she's been a turn the other cheek person as long as I've known her. Sometimes to the point of distraction, sometimes to the void of anguish and mental violence in my head.
Right.
Because it makes me crazy. But God love her. If it wasn't for her, I probably would either be dead or in jail for having killed somebody by now. But we were talking briefly about something along those lines, Biden this, Trump that, Republican, Democrat, yada, yada. And she turned and looked at me, and she does this every now and then. And part of me suspects the first couple of times she did it many years ago, I just thought it was one of those, she's an intelligent, intellectually gifted, educated woman, but she doesn't get into all that stuff.
Right.
She doesn't
engage.
She has other interests.
Yeah.
Well, she's an attorney. She's a family law attorney. She's very good. She spends her days taking care of people's problems. So the first couple times it happened, I just thought, oh, well, there's one of those odd moments. It's kind of refreshing, a little political insight that was really very insightful. But I thought it was an anomaly. Now I'm beginning to think she just kind of holds out on me because, you know, she knows me. And I'm always whipping and ranting and carrying on all the time. She just lets me do what I do. And she's so sweet, she don't want to show me up. Which she could, because what she did was totally out of the blue, but yet not. We were talking about everything that's going on. And you know her, and you know her personality, so
Yes.
this is gonna make you go, oh, when I say this. She turned and looked at me, and she goes, she let it out. She let her guard down. She goes, you know, it's enough already. She said, they just need to understand. Who's they? She said, the Democrats for sure, but the Democrats for sure. I said, okay. She said, they need to understand sportsmanship is not the way to play right now. Whoa. And I said, yeah. And I think it was in the context of what they were talking about where what Marr said last week about the Democrats are trying to live the dream. Policies that will better mankind and this candidate who is, in other words, kind of status quo. If this was 1960 and we were on the edge of the new frontier, we were trying to move people in that direction right now. But that's not what the opposition is up to. The opposition, it's the old Sean Connery, Kevin Costner in the church scene and the Untouchables. Yeah, the Republicans are playing the Chicago way. They're bringing knives to the gunfight or guns to the knife fight or whatever the case may be, and the Democrats are not. But when she turned and she said sportsmanship is not appropriate right now, I'm like, you have no fucking idea how profound that is. Not only because it is profound, but the fact that it came out of the mouth of somebody like this.
Right. It's profound, but it's naive to think that the Democrats they play as dirty as anybody else, Scott. They really do. Both parties are, and it's all greed. It's all money driven. Every decision they make is bought and paid for.
I understand
and that kills me.
I understand that, and I'm trying to avoid getting sucked back into they all do it, because that wasn't my reason.
No, I know it wasn't.
That wasn't my trumpeting the Democratic Party. What that was saying was that in any case, no matter who it is, which sides are going on, you play in order to win the game. You play the game that's being played.
Right.
You don't play the game that you think is the best thing to win. And there are some times, no matter who it is and which side you're talking about, there are some times when you do fight fire with fire. There are some times when you do return a bitch slap with a bitch slap.
Yes.
There are times when somebody pokes you or knocks at you, you knock them on their ass, and you say, you know what? I'm of that school.
Is that the times when it takes 2 or 3 people to get you off?
Yes. Now, that's a long story that a lot of people are familiar with, and that makes it sound kind of kinky, but yes, it's exactly right. And I've said this before. I have fessed to this many times. That's a psychological hot button for me. It's one of the reasons, and I don't need many because there's plenty to go around. It's one of the reasons why my intense hatred of Donald Trump is so intense, is because if everything else was kosher, if he was Ward fucking Cleaver and Mahatma Gandhi and Albert Einstein all rolled into one, and the one thing that was left,
the bully.
He's a bully. Bullies need to be knocked on their ass. They need to have a cold cock and fucking fist in their face, knock them on their fat orange ass, and then, and this is my definition of that situation, and then I look at him and I say, now, here's the deal. I have no wish to cause you harm. I'd like to get along with you. I'd like for us to be able to talk about how we can work together to make things better for people in the neighborhood or down the street. And I'm willing to extend my hand to help you get back on your feet. But the moment you're back on your feet, you pull that shit again, I'm going to put you back on your fucking orange ass, and we're going to go around again. And you're not getting up to stay until you fucking figure it out. That's what, in a less brutal way, I took her referring to when she said sportsmanship is not the way to play.
Right.
They're being taken advantage of in that regard, and that's wrong. Strategically, but for everything else
What
that we do.
Did you see Mitch McConnell came out against the Trump, the entire Trump?
Yeah, he made some noises about we need to put 2020 behind us and move forward. He's a slimy fuck.
Actually, the author of the article I read basically encapsulated that entire action. They said Mitch McConnell does what Mitch McConnell does, and that's win elections.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's not. He's angling.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying Trump may be cut out, dude. Because if he keeps running his mouth about stupid shit like Republicans not voting,
you mean as opposed to the extremely intellectually intelligent way that he ran the first campaign and got his ass kicked and didn't get elected president? Yeah, I'm counting on that happening. See, this is the part that people miss out on. They don't understand. They're still not quite getting their head around it, present company included. We've been down this road before. It's not like we don't know. We know what he is. We know what he'll do. We know what's coming. And I'll tell you the problem with the McConnell thing. When I read that, it didn't make me go, good for you, Mitch. It made me go, you slimy, wormy motherfucker. And I'll tell you why. Because you're absolutely right, or I absolutely agree with you, that this is what he's doing. So he's kind of like, he's creating the image of, I'm sticking to my guns and what's best for the election process. But 2.7 fucking micro nanoseconds after Donald Trump wins the first 3 Republican primaries. In the primary season, Mitch McConnell will turn his Kentucky white ass around on a dime and have Donald's dick back in his mouth so fast, it'll make your head spin. And that, my friend, is
politics.
Yes, that's exactly right. But you know what? It's like Bogey in Casablanca. I don't mind a slimeball politician. I just object to a cut rate one. That's why and that's what we're awash in with everybody now.
Yes, yeah.
Principles, yeah, they exist in high schools. That's about it, and middle schools and elementary schools. Yeah, I know. That's why.
Washington is sad right now. It makes me sad every time I fucking think about it.
Well, yeah.
I'm done with all of them, Scott. All of them.
Well, then let's, yeah. All right. Very quickly, and this has absolutely nothing to do with anything except I put it down, so what the hell. Paul McCartney was interviewed, and I think he was having some fun because these guys go way back. They go all the way back to the beginning. And when I say the Stones and the Beatles, McCartney, Jagger, all those guys, they're family. Okay. In a recent interview, McCartney offered up, quote, I'm not sure I should say this, but the Stones are kind of a blues cover band. That's sort of what they are. I think the Beatles' net was cast a bit wider than theirs. And he's gone on record before as saying that the Stones historically back in the day were always like a year or so behind the Beatles. But the Beatles did Sgt. Pepper. The Stones did Satanic Majesties. Paul McCartney did Yesterday. The Stones did As Tears Go By.
Right.
And that's true. I was there. I lived through that period, and that's exactly right. But to call them a blues cover band, but see, this circles back to the kind of the whole thematic of it's always about the internet exploding. It's always about somebody being hurt, and it's what the fuck. Jagger couldn't help but poke. They were on the road as they are right now, and he said on stage, "There's so many celebrities here tonight. Of course, you got Megan Fox is here. She's lovely. Leonardo DiCaprio, Lady Gaga, Kirk Douglas. Oh, sorry, misread that one. Paul McCartney's here." He's going to help us. He's going to join us in a blues cover later. Good for you. Good sport.
Yeah, that's well. I told you the famous story. You know, they wrote "I Want to Be Your Man."
The Beatles, John and Paul.
John and Paul wrote that for the Stones,
right?
And
it was their first hit.
It was the Stones' first hit, but the story came from the engineer on that session, and Lennon was sitting down with Jagger, and he goes, now the words are, I want to be your lover, baby. I want to be your man. I want to be your lover, baby. I want to be your man. I want to be your lover, baby. I want to be your man. And Lennon's just telling Jagger this, and Jagger goes, oh, wait a minute, let me get a pencil. and Lennon was like, for the love of fucking God, Mick.
Yeah. Now, in defense of Mick, and only because I'm a Beatle kid, the actual lyrics to the song, and John got testy. John had a very SEP quality about him sometimes, that sort of stuff. I want to be your lover, baby. I want to be your man. I want to be your lover, baby. I want to be your man. Love you like no other baby,
right.
like no other can. I want to be your lover, baby. I want to be your man. It's not as erudite and as sophisticated as you a stupid hoe, you a stupid, stupid hoe, you a stupid hoe, you a stupid, 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 stupid hoe. But it's kind of got the same saturation.
Oh, we love Cardi B.
No, that's Nicki Minaj.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Can't tell you Cardi's from your Nickies. All right. Oh, you know what we forgot? We forgot a pensive moment of Billie Eilish's newest hit. And rightly so. All right. Coming up next week, I don't know, you going anywhere that you're going to be able to talk about famous people or stuff, or just
no? But in 2 weeks, I'm going to Miami, so I won't be here.
That's okay. This whole process is starting to wear me out. Okay. If you can take anything from the episode, just
what the fuck?
be like me. I hope that I inspire people to take life, and especially life in this great country, the way that I do. With hope for the future and a belief that, by golly, together I can't do it. America sucks. It just sucks. And I tell you what, I've lived how many months now? August, September, October, 3 months. 70.3 years, and I'm telling you, I'm entitled. Okay? I don't like it. I don't want it to be that way. I scream and holler and rant and rave, and in my own way, I contribute to the cause of perhaps steering things in directions that hopefully will make it better. And there's other little quiet ways that I do it behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I'm entitled. I've been an American a long time, probably longer than most of the people listening to this
Watching midget porn does not make America better, Scott.
That's you, dude. I'm not into the little guy. I like the real stuff.
He said full size.
No. No, I did not. And one more con.
There we go.
Shatner should have spent the money on.
Well, Shatner and George Takei got into it again.
Oh, that's an ongoing thing.
It's just
they're I think we have. That's just the testosterone version of what we have to look forward to for the next 50 years when it comes to Kanye and Kim.
Yeah.
Whether they get divorced or not. Oh, by the way, officially, in case you're following, he changed his name now officially.
What is it now?
Ye. It's Y-E. Ye West.
Ye West.
Ye West.
I wanted him to change his name to Go.
Go West.
Go West. Young man.
Wild, Wild West. Clearly, we've run out of material, and the ad-libbing ain't really doing nothing for nobody. So we'll just say thanks for joining us. Thanks for loving us. Dave appreciates it.
Yes.
Well, just say I don't need to talk for you. Say whatever you want to say.
No. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us top 10 on whatever fucking platform we're on.
That's right. And stop being a contributing factor to America sucking. I right there. And, let's put it this way. Long time ago, Richard Pryor did a parody thing on the old Saturday Night Live many, 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 many years ago. And it was a parody of a telethon where he's standing in front of the bank of phone people behind him. And it was for the United Negro College Fund. And he's standing there and he's going, so if y'all would just call in, it'd be great. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. The college is for the education. And not a soul. The phone were not ringing. And he would turn around and he would look and he'd see the phone. Nobody. They're all sitting there just kind of waiting. Nothing. And Pryor was a genius. He would get progressively, but not radically, more irritated each time he would turn back around. So come on, you pick up the phone and call money and make the world a better place and all the rest. He turned around, and by about the fourth time, he turned back around, and he had that hostile look on his face. And this is what they used to get away with in the old days before, oh, my God, you can't say that shit because everybody will go crazy. But it was spot on, and it was hilarious. He goes, and be prepared, there's a big word coming here. He turned around, and with this really violent look on his face, he goes, all right, motherfuckers, here's how it goes. For the next 60 minutes, every single goddamn dollar that comes in here goes to be shipping up all the niggas and taking them back to Africa. And the phone's all lit up behind him like nobody's business.
Remember the word association that he was with
Yes,
Chevy Chase?
Chevy Chase.
Oh, that was so funny.
Honky. Dead honky. Look it up on the... Anyway, the whole point in my bringing that up was that if you do everything you can do this week and from now on, for that matter, to stop America sucking the way it does in the year 2021, I personally pledge that will shut me the hell up.
There you go. There you go.
Come on.
Let's get those phones ringing.
All right. For the next 60 minutes. All right. Till next week, we'll see you then with more of The Blab.
Blab.